Today we have Alex and Bob from Franz Ferdinand with us. Thank you guys for joining. How are you today?
Hey, really good. How are you?
Nice. Yeah, I'm great. Thank you. Alex, I know that you like food a lot and enjoy the international cuisine. You even wrote a book about eating on tour. So I was wondering, do you have a good or a bad memory of German food on tour?
I forgot what my memory was. Yeah, I really like eating in Germany. You know, one thing I remember about German food is you can judge a country by its bread, and Germany has some of the best bread in the world. You know, you go to the USA, the bread's pretty bad. You know, like there's some great food there, but you know, if you just go to a regular shop and buy some bread, it tends to be like kind of white, overly processed bread. But in Germany, the bread is always excellent quality, and I love it. Yeah, bread and the beer, all the kind of staples, all the stuff from the grains. It's always amazing in Germany.
Yeah, right.
What else do I like about you? You know, the other thing I really like about in Germany is, and it's become very fashionable here in the last few years, is but like the kind of fermented vegetables. Like I think you call it sauerkraut. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
Like I love this stuff. It's so nice. It's very good for you as well. Like really healthy.
Yeah, it's super healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, I could eat that stuff all day. Really good.
Nice. I'm glad to hear. But now let's talk a bit about music. The very first song of your upcoming album was also your first single you released at all. How do you feel today when you hear or play these songs from the very beginning?
That's a pleasure. It's the first thing we released, wasn't it? When was that? Like
September the 7th, 2003 it came out.
Oh yeah.
I think it's good. I mean, I don't listen to the record of it very much, I have to say, but I have heard it recently and I thought it held up. I thought it sounded good. I think for me, old songs exist in a live format more than a recorded format. I don't really go back and listen to the albums very often, but we do play the songs live, so that's kind of where they exist for me. And so yeah, there's not any songs that I don't enjoy playing.
And how did you get the idea to do a best of album in the first place? Did COVID play a role there, or was it planned anyway?
It wasn't really related to COVID. We've been talking about doing a best of for a really long time. You know, I always loved the idea of doing a best of. Like so many of my favorite bands did a best of. You know, the Beatles, they did a best of. The Rolling Stones, they did one. Queen did one. You know, like all these great bands did a best of. So we thought we really probably should at some point. And we're just not getting around to it. Then the label said to us, if there's only a certain amount of space on a double album, you know, like before the songs start losing quality, because we'd always seen it as having to have a vinyl release. And if we didn't release it now, we wouldn't be able to fit the songs on without losing quality. So we thought now was the best time to release it.
Okay, right. As you said, you yourself are a big admirer of or fan of greatest hits records. What do they mean to you as a fan of these bands?
Well, for me, when I was a kid, they were my introduction to music, because my parents had greatest hits albums. And for them, it was all they needed to listen to. You know, they just wanted to hear the hits. They wanted to hear the big songs. Mm-hmm. That's fine. And I'm sure there's going to be some people who feel like that about our band. But for somebody like me as a kid, it was an introduction into another world. So when I listened to Changes by Bowie, I thought, wow, what is this universe? I want to go and discover more. And so that led me to other albums like Low or Heroes or Lodger or Station to Station, and you know, the cool ones. And yeah, and it also kind of works as a like a retrospective of your career. It helps you understand where you've come from and where you are now, and a little bit of a hint of what the future is as well.
Nice. And now, how does it feel for you guys to be at a point to be able to release such a retrospective? I mean, would you have imagined that when you started the band around 20 years ago?
No, I mean, if you'd told me 20 years ago that we'd be sitting here talking by a video phone to someone in Germany about our greatest hits album, I'd have thought you were joking. But no, yeah, so no, it's kind of crept up on me really. But I've quite enjoyed the process of putting it together.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. How are you?
Yeah, I've loved it. Can't wait to do volume 2.
All right, thinking to the future already. That's nice.
Yeah, but I think doing one every 18 years is a good plan. So what will that be the next one? 2040?
Yeah,
That's a nice round.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, 2040. Like we'll do one 2040. But yeah, better get started.
Well, there you go. We're looking forward to that. But you know, in times of streaming services and people having access to music basically everywhere, do you think that best of albums still have the power to get people into music, or that parents still influence the children's taste in music through best of albums?
You know, I think it's an interesting thing and a very valid point for you to raise, because we can all make our own compilations and our own choices of songs, because every song is available to us on online and streaming. Yeah. And so I guess what you're saying is, does an album really have a place to exist in the contemporary world? And I mean, whether it's a regular album or a greatest hits album, and I would argue that it really does, because what an album is, it's a curated selection of songs that reflect a period of an artist's life. And so a regular album is like usually a short period of a year or so. A greatest hits album is a curated selection of songs from a period of 18 years, like it is for us here. And also, I don't think you should think of these purely within the context of streaming. You have to think of them in the wider context. I mean, we've all seen how much vinyl has really increased over the years in popularity.
Yeah,
and I've always thought in the context of vinyl, and I still do. And no matter how much we love streaming, it's never as good as listening to a record.
That's right.
Or
you know,
radio.
Besides the best of songs, you also released or will release 2 new songs on the record. Billy Goodbye is one of these songs. It's about the ending of a friendship. Is that something, did you know a Billy? Is it something you personally experienced, or what would you like to express with that song?
I think we all have lots of Billies in our lives, and I really felt that we don't have enough songs about saying goodbye to Billies, like saying goodbye to our friends, because you know, friendships end in the same way that romantic relationships end, and there are hundreds, thousands of songs about the end of romantic relationships. You know, I think of So Long Marianne by Leonard Cohen, or It's All Over Now, Baby Blue by Bob Dylan. You know, there's hundreds of romantic goodbye songs, and very few about friendship. And that's what this is, you know. Like, and I think if we think about it, we can all think about times when you've kind of you realize that a friendship is over, and it's kind of good to sort of say, well, that was a great friendship, and I can see, looking back, I can see what was good about it, even though I understand that we might not be going forward into the future together. Those moments that we did have together were pretty special.
Yeah, right. It still seems like a happy song, you know. Also the line, "Don't forget the best bits," that exactly expresses that positive attitude that you can have to it still.
Yeah. This song was always a purely positive song. Yeah, just like being able to celebrate what was good.
Right, all right. Curious is another new song. You filmed a really cool video for that. I just saw it on YouTube.
Oh, did you see it? Oh, great.
Yeah, I saw it. Did you take dancing lessons before it?
Yeah, very specific dancing lessons to learn that dance.
We practiced a lot. You know, I mean, I'd love to pretend that we could just like jump up and do it really easily, but we did rehearse quite a lot to get that right, because it's us doing all of it. Like we did talk about getting professional dancers in and like CGIing our heads on it, but I don't think it would have looked right.
Yeah,
It's
that's
also
really
it was
good.
really satisfying as well. It was really good fun. You know, I enjoyed it.
I had a great time. It was simultaneously maybe one of the hardest videos because the amount of time we invested into it, but the most fun simultaneously. I think also the amount of rehearsal we did to be able to do the video well. Normally if we had an album coming out, we'd be so busy doing various things, we wouldn't have had time for that. But because of this unique situation we're in with like COVID closing down much of the world, we had more time on our hands than we normally would. So we could do two days rehearsals and, you know, and actually, you know, and make this happen. And so, yeah, I think, yeah, it all came together really well.
But it just seems to open up a lot of horizons, like things that we can do for the next ones. Like I think acrobatics could be really good.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, nice. It does look good, I have to say. Nice dancing moves.
Thanks a million.
Musically, compared to Billy Goodbye, it's a pretty funky tune. What can you tell us about the song? I mean, the lyrics, but also in the music.
Yeah, it's very different from Billy Goodbye. 'Cause I guess the two songs represent two sides of the band. You know, like you know, Billy Goodbye is a real kind of like rocky glam stomper, whereas Curious is much more of a slinky kind of dance floor kind of song. It was really fun to play. Curious is actually the first song that we played with Audrey, isn't it?
Yeah, it was when she came down to rehearsals. When we first met her, that was the first song.
Yeah, I remember like playing with her in the room and just kind of going like, "Oh, this sounds great," you know, like, and I think a song like that's a real test of a drummer. Like if the groove can be good and if it feels good straight away, then yeah, you know, she's going to be pretty cool. And I guess the song it's kind of like the reverse of those final scenes you see at the end of a film, you know, where somebody dies and their life flashes before their eyes. If you imagine a scene where it's the beginning of a relationship where two people have met and instead of their life flashing before their eyes, it's their relationship and their life that's to come flashing before the eyes. And they can see everything that's going to happen, going from the first sparks of passion through to familiarity in the everyday, and just as they see it, being curious and wondering if the other person is going to love them when they know them and when they're familiar.
So you already said that Billy Goodbye and Curious are two very different songs. Are they in any way a precursor of the future songs of Franz Ferdinand, what we're going to hear in the next years?
I mean, I feel that these songs really belong in this collection. They really belong on Hits to the Head, because they sound, even though they're quite different from each other, they sound very much like Franz Ferdinand. And so for the songs of the future, to answer your question, yes, I think they're going to sound very much like Franz Ferdinand. But we were sitting around talking about it today, and one thing we really want to do as well is surprise people. You know, that's one thing I love when we do as a band, is like for you to listen to something and kind of go, oh, right, I wasn't quite expecting that. And all I can promise is that the next songs will sound very much like us, but you will be surprised by them as well.
All right. Thank you guys for your time. Our guests always have the final say here. So if there's anything that you'd like to express to your fans and our listeners, now's the chance.
I just want to say to everybody that's listening here on Radio Bob, thanks for supporting us for all these years. Like, we know how much you do, and we can't wait to play for you all again. It's been a tough couple of years, but I'm really looking forward to the future, and can't wait to get back on the stage and to see you all play some bangers.